Okay, so I want to read something, and I have been writing it over just a couple of days, but it doesn't really take me long to write things because once God puts something in my heart, then I have to just go with it. So forgive me if I stumble, but this is something I wanted to read, so I'm gonna read it. So here I go. Okay, I realize that the greatest gift that God can give you is the gift of knowing. Knowing that you have a gift, it's on you to go and unlock this gift that He has given you. If you lose or if you fail, it's only because your intentions weren't strong enough to take on the challenge and take on the gift that He has given you. I wasn't created to fail. God does not create failures, people do. In the pursuit of my pain, in the pursuit of my pain, passion, and prosperity, God has given me the strength, the will, the motivation, the tenacity, the drive to tell my story and shine like the star that I am. It's in my name, and my name is Star. I have to live up to my name every day. I can't be a star if I can't shine. I feel like God has called me to be the light for others when they are consumed in darkness. Coming from foster care, a crack addicted mother with no whereabouts of my real father, my mother, and I use that term loosely. The definition of a mother is a woman in relation to her child or children, bringing up a child with care, affection, and nurturing, or a female parent. None of these definitions or terms resonate with me regarding what a mother is. My mother had 10 kids, and I'm number four. And she had a child, and I'm number four, and every time she had a child, it went directly to the foster home. Now, notice I said the word it. It is described to identify a person. I never knew I was a person. I was always called the foster kid or the foster kids. I mean, me and my siblings, we all were raised in the same foster home. You know, people always say thank God for that, but I mean, I guess. I mean, all under the same roof, but all lived completely different lives inside that house. My mother also lived with us in the foster home. She had nowhere else to go. My foster mother knew this. She knew she had nowhere to stay. And at this time, my mother was on baby number 6. My foster mother knew that that baby was coming to the foster home. My mother knew the baby was coming to the foster home. The only person that didn't know was my baby brother, who also didn't have the same father as me, whomever that was. My brother was born into the system, and he didn't even know it. I was 2 years old when I had entered into foster care. From 2 to 13, I was in foster care, but always remained in the system. I didn't have the love, I didn't have the upbringing that is described in the dictionary of what a mother should be. I didn't have birthday parties. My birthday is 3 days before Christmas. I only was allowed to open one present under the tree as a celebration. She provided us with the same cake every year, vanilla cake with strawberries, thinly sliced almonds on the side of the cake. I never had my name on the cake, my age, nothing. No balloons, no nothing. I never had friends over. I never had new clothes or anything like that. It was always normal to me. I said in the beginning, my mother bare 10 children and I was number 4. And every time she had a child, it went directly to the foster home. I entered the foster care system at 2 years old. My 3 sisters were already there. From 2 to 13, I was in foster care, but always remained in the system. From the foster care system to the prison system, but that's a different story for a different time. At times it seemed normal. I had 2 mothers. It didn't seem different. I wasn't aware of how other people lived their lives. I just knew that I lived mine. My mother came in and out from time to time. She only stayed long periods of time when she was pregnant. I can remember from time to time people would come to the home and they would check up on the foster kids. And my mother would have to hide. She made it seem as if it was a game, as if we were playing hide and seek, and that we couldn't tell anyone that she lived there or she would never be able to come back. Like I said, oftentimes it felt normal. My mother would cook and she would do my hair. She would leave for long periods of time and return. I remember one specific time I had to be maybe about 7 or 8. My mother wasn't in the house. We hadn't seen her for a very long time. And by this time, my foster mother advised us that we couldn't let her in the house. I mean, I didn't know why, but she made it very clear to us that if we did, that we would be in trouble. I love my mother. I have always loved my mother. I will always love my mother. I can remember the first time my mother actually told me she loved me. I can remember the feeling and how happy it made me feel. This one particular time I had to be playing in the house. We lived in this big greenhouse with black bars. The front living room had this huge bay window, and you could see all the way up the street. You could see all the way up the street. You could see all the way down the street. You could see the whole block from this window, to be honest with you. This one particular night, I seen a car pull up. You see, the living room door was a big black iron gate door. You could see on the inside, but I couldn't see on the outside. So in other words, people could see me playing in the living room, but I couldn't see them. So we always kept the door open. There was always people coming in and out, in and out. I always played in the front of the door in the dining room area. You see, there was a living room, but the living room was locked. They had these wooden shutter doors, and they kept these locks on the doors. And that's where they kept the nice stuff, the TV and the couch and different things like that. So we were never allowed to play in this area unless we were accompanied by one of my foster mother's daughters. She had 4 daughters of her own. That's also a different story for later. So as I'm playing in the front living room, on the door, because I knew, I knew better to go outside after dark. This one night, my mother came to the door, and I could hear her calling my name. It was more of a whisper. It was very soft. It was very faint, and I didn't really think I heard anyone calling my name. It was just like when you looked around and you're like, someone calling me, but I didn't really know. I didn't think anything of it, and then I heard it again, and I knew it was my mother when she said, "Starbright." See, my foster mother and my mother were the only 2 people that really called me that. So I went to the door. I was so happy to see her. I haven't seen her in a very long time. She quickly grabbed me and she pulled me to the side of the house. Like I said, I hadn't been maybe no more than 7 or 8 years old. I was so happy to see her. I could remember trying to talk to her and asking her where she'd been. I had been so worried about her. And she cut me off real fast. She said, "Starbright, I need you to do me a favor." And at that age, I would have done anything for my mother to get her to come back home. I told her that foster mother advised us that we couldn't let her back in the house, and if we did, that she was going to be very upset with us. She advised me. I told her what foster mother said, and she asked me where my foster mother was. See, my foster mother, she only left that back room. She never left that back room unless she was going to work or going grocery shopping. She worked the graveyard shift as a 911 operator for about 20 plus years. So my mother knew she wasn't home. My mother then proceeded to tell me to do her a favor and that she needed me to go into my foster mother's room and go under the bed, and there was a jewelry box under the bed that she needed me to get. I told my mother I was very scared and I didn't want to do that. She then proceeded to tell me that my foster mother took something from her and she didn't give it back, and she just wanted to see if it was in the box. And I believed my mother. I could remember being mad at my foster mother for taking something from my mom and not giving it back to her. I could remember walking down that hallway into my foster mother's room. The light shined so bright. My heart was beating so fast, fearful of getting caught by either my mother, fearful of getting caught by my foster mother or one of my sisters or one of her daughters. It just seemed at the time that nobody was around, but to be honest with you, nobody was ever around. Just imagine living in a house full of people and still feeling alone. Nobody really took responsibility for us. We were just a walking paycheck. We did what we want, whenever we want, and it just was what it was at the end of the day. except go in that living room. I proceeded to walk down the hallway. I had finally made it to my foster mother's room, heart pounding. I looked under the bed and I didn't see anything. I immediately went back to my mother and I said, Mom, I don't see anything. It's not under there. And she said, Star. And she said it with force. Where did you look? Did you look under the bed like I told you, Star? It's under there. Go back under there and look. I went back a second time, walking down this long hallway, hoping that no one catches me, hoping that no one pulls up and sees my mother on the side of this house. I finally reached my foster mother's room. I looked under the bed and I did find the jury box. It was pushed so far under the bed that I had to crawl all the way under there, and all you could see is my feet dangling as someone catched me. I put that box under my tiny little shirt and I ran to my mother as fast as I could. I was so excited that I had did something for my mother. After all, my foster mother, she did take something from my mother, and I did have to help her get it back. I was just so excited. My mother was so happy with me that she told me she loved me, and I could remember that that was the first time she ever told me she loved me. She took the box and she dumped it out and put it in her pockets, and I could just remember standing there looking at her, and she handed me the box and she said, "Go put it back, Star." But the box was empty. I couldn't put an empty box back under the bed. She was so proud of me for what I did. She hugged me, she told me she loved me, and that she would be back to reward me for what I did. I didn't know how long it had been before my mother came back. I never received my reward. I can remember feeling differently about my mother at that time. Even with me being so young, it didn't really feel like I could trust her. I never took the box back. I was so scared, I just threw it in the trash. I can remember months down the line, my foster mother was very upset about the box. There were some items in there from her grandmother. I never told anyone about this until today. After that, I never looked at my mother the same. When she did eventually come back, she was pregnant again. Maybe I was just upset that I never got my reward. You see, God has the ability to help you operate in ways that you've never operated before. Being so much more than I can ever imagine has helped me to see clearly, so clearly that I can be able to achieve the impossible. God will not give you what you are meant to have because you are not fully developed into the person He has created you to be. The plans will not be disclosed until it is time. If you don't develop and become the person that He has chosen you to be, others won't be able to develop and become the people that He has chosen them to be. They're waiting on me. They're waiting on Star to shine. You see, we are all in a state of emergency. It's time to get up and get involved. You are not inferior, you are superior. Remember, God will not bring you all this way just for you to fail. Failure is not an option. Trust me when I tell you, when you are down to nothing, God is up to something. See, I don't think you understand what I'm saying. Let me break it down. The devil knew who I was before I ever knew who I was. God is in you, and God will use you. The devil will abuse you to keep you from God and what God has called you to do. You see, the devil will derail you. He will betray you and use those closest to you by any means necessary. He's only after you because he knows who you are and the powers that God has blessed you with. Keep God first. He is a jealous God. I oftentimes think, what if God came to you, came to me, came to any of us in a flesh form, a human flesh, and he said, Starbray, I'm going to give you something. I'm going to give you this gift, but I can't tell you what it is until I know you are ready for it. What would you do? What would you do? Could you imagine? And I don't know about y'all, but God, I'm ready. I'm ready to receive this gift. I'm ready to receive these blessings. And, and some people may look at me and they say, she's so pretty and you always have a pretty smile. You always got a smile on your face and God has truly blessed her. Yes, God has truly blessed me, but don't get it twisted. All that glitter ain't gold And I promise you, I don't bend, break, or fold, and I'm 10 toes down in this. My pain will not make me. My pain will not break me. My pain comforts me because I know it all wasn't in vain. I promise you, the things that I've been through, foster care, prison, domestic violence, homelessness, shelters, I don't regret any of it. I would do it 10 times over again because I know what is waiting for me on the other side. You see, we are all under construction until it's time for us to be called home. You see, my kingdom in heaven is also under construction as well. But every time I got one foot in, I got one foot out, I do the hokey pokey, I turn myself around, I keep delaying the construction process. No more delays. Knock it off. Knock it off. Play with yourself. Don't play with Jesus. Try Jesus. Don't try me. Because I fight. And I'm fighting for my life every day. Every day I wake up and I fight for my life. God will use you in ways that you've never been used before. I have been where you are, and you can be where I am. You see, I've been where you are, and you can be where I am. Ask yourself, are you living or are you existing? You have to start living. You have to start living. You can't be resistant to what God has for you or has called you to do. No matter how you get it with God. Be persistent, be consistent, and don't become a statistic, because that is what they want, to keep you in a system that is meant for you to fail. Keep God first and all will prevail. Thank you for allowing me to tell you part of my life story. My journey has just begun. The marathon will continue. Dab on them. I thought that was awesome. And that is one speech of many. And I hope someone takes something from it. Like I said, this is a story that I've never told before. And it's very empowering to me. And I love everyone. I love those who love me. Have a great day. Bye.